Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we find ourselves in Sleepy Town, where some of us are secretly trying to take out the Chin Empire and his minions who have seized the town in search of more food. Others might be secretly the Chin Empire trying to take out the Sleepy Town. Or you might even be the deceiver trying to betray everyone and claim a solo victory. Either way, you'll unleash chaos with fluffy round balls of destruction. Cranky Chinchillas is a cute and mischievous game of secret alliances, betrayal, and destruction. It's for 4 to 6 players, or up to 8 with expansions. It takes 30 to 60 minutes to play, it's for ages 14 and up, and published by Cranky Chinchillas Inc. Now this game's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are prototype, they're not final. Now to see the most up-to-date art and components that are still subject to change, check out the Kickstarter link in the description below. Now this is a game of betrayal, intrigue, and social deduction, if you will, and there's going to be different roles that you might be. Now the base game plays 4 to 6 players, with expansions you could play up to 8, and there'll be a certain amount of these different roles depending on the amount of players. Now I'm just going to go over 2 of these now. Sleepy Town, basically if you're a Sleepy Town role, you want all the players that have the Chin Empire cards to be dead. If so, you'll win. They want the exact opposite. If you're the Chin Empire, you want all the players that have the Sleepy Town roles to be dead. And if that's the case, then the players that have the Chin Empire cards are the winners. These 2 roles, I'll go over the details of those later because you need to know more about how the game plays in order to fully understand how to make their win conditions succeed. At the beginning of the game, you're going to have that secret role card face down in front of you. You're also going to get 5 action cards that are in your hand. You get to see them, but other players don't. And then through a snake draft, players are going to be selecting 4 different heroes. And they do all sorts of different things that we'll go over later. But these are also your life points, because if you have all 4 of your heroes eliminated, then you essentially have died. Now you'll still continue playing, we'll go over that later, but again, these are your heroes for abilities and they're your life points. You're also trying to take out the other players' heroes, assuming you can figure out what role they are, make sure you're taking out the right person's heroes. Now playing the game, you play clockwise order, and on your turn, you can play as many action cards as you want, and or you can play 1 hero card per turn. Now when you play a hero card, these all start face up, but you can use their abilities to play it, and then it goes face down. For example, the Assassin. You could choose another player's hero, you could discard 2 cards out of your hand, those are from the 5 that you have secretly that you get to look at, but others don't. You could discard 2 of those from your hand and eliminate that hero. Now you can only use 1 of these heroes per turn, and when you use it, you flip it face down, and it will stay that way until an effect will, some type of card effect will allow you to flip it back up, for example. So you could do that to eliminate that hero. Now remember, once any player has all their heroes eliminated, that player dies. Now let's say you did that. You spent 2 cards, you used the Assassin, and you eliminated somebody else's hero. You get to place that down here for you basically get to collect their heroes. Now even though I've used this and it's face down, it still counts as a life point. So I still have 4 life points here. Let's look at some of these other things. Now you essentially are only using 1 of these on a turn. And by the way, once you finish playing action cards and or a hero, you'll draw 2 cards, but you can never have more than 6 in your hand while you're alive, that is. We'll get to that, what happens when you die, a little bit later. So after you've done those things, it'll be the next player's turn, but let me show you some of the other things you can do with some of these heroes. Some of them are reusable effects. So each turn you could use this as your 1 single hero. You could discard a card from your hand to play an extra attack card. So let's talk about attack cards, but the reusable means that when you use this, it doesn't flip over. Meaning you could use this every round without needing to play a special card to have a special effect in order to flip it back over, but it does count as your 1 hero for the turn. So speaking of those attack cards, now you can play as many cards as you want from your hand, but remember you're only drawing back up to 2 at the end of your turn, up to a maximum of 6. While you're alive. And here you'll see some of the cards have a 1, these attack cards, and there's even an accused card that has one of these. Now these have 1s on there for a reason, which means you can only play 1 of any of these cards per turn. But this reusable effect that we just talked about is you would discard a card from your hand and you could play an extra attack card. Now if you look at the attack card, when you play this, you could choose another player, and then that player either loses 1 hero of their choice, or you can ask that player a role question. Now there's a deck of role questions. You would take one from the top and you would secretly look at it And this says, hey, Chin Empire or Sleepy Town. Those are the different roles in the game. You would secretly give this to that player, and one of them says 1 and one of them says 2. You would give this to them secretly and either say 1 or 2. And they would respond with yes or no. Now, pretty much almost everybody has to tell the truth, unless they were the deceiver, as they are the only role that can lie about this, which is pretty cool. When you're done with this, you would shuffle that back in to this roll deck so that the next player might get a random one. And some of them might have the deceiver / forest spirit. So you might get to know if somebody's one of these, but of course, if it's the deceiver, they might be lying. So in a nutshell, that's how the game works. You're going to play as many action cards as you want. You can use one hero and flip it over. And then it's going to be the next player's turn. You're drawing 2 cards up to 6. And you keep doing this, but remember, once someone loses all their life points, which means all their heroes are eliminated, they die. And it's possible for multiple roles to win at the same time. Because as we mentioned earlier, if you're on the Sleepy Town, as soon as all the Chin Empires are dead, you win. If you're the Chin Empire, the reverse is true. If all the Sleepy Town players are dead, all these players win. You can even win if you die. Because if you get rid of all your heroes and you're dead, well, your hand limit for action cards is limited to now to 2 instead of 6, and you cannot regain any heroes, and your roll card is permanently revealed. Now, we talked about the deceiver and how that's different a little bit because they're the only one that can lie when a roll card is given to them. But they can also reveal their roll card, and while that's face up and while you're still alive, no other player can declare victory. And only on the turn that you revealed yourself, any attack or attack type cards that you play will damage all other players, not just one. And this is treated as if you played a copy of that card against every player. Now, the deceiver will win by being the last player alive. And if they've died, the objective changes to all other players having 1 or less hero, as some people just want to see everything burn. Now, if you're the forest spirit role, you win by having a certain amount of heroes in your pile that you have killed. It's always the amount of players +1. So if you're playing a 4-player game, you need to have 5 heroes here and you'll win. So you're going around killing everybody you can. Now that you know how the game's generally played, what you're trying to do, let's look at some of the other cards in the game. So CAC can be played anytime and it stops an action card from being played and send it directly to the discard pile. Skip allows you to place a card in front of a player, and then while that card's there, that player cannot play any cards except CAC, essentially. Revive allows you to choose any player that has less than 4 heroes, and that player draws 1 hero card. It's a single-use card, and that you'd probably do that on someone that you are pretty sure is the same role as you that you're kind of working with. Now flip, you could choose a player and flip one of their heroes face down without activating its effects. So you do that on someone that you think is not on your team. The mine card, you choose another player that take 1 action card from that player's hand. So you're basically stealing cards from their hand again, probably against someone that is not your ally. Recycle is you'll put as many cards out as amount of players from the top of the discard pile, and then starting with you and continuing clockwise, each player takes a card. So that's, a way to get things that you have just seen that have been played that you want that card. You can reset where all players must flip their heroes face up, so it kind of rejuvenates their powers. Search is looking at the top 4 cards of the action deck and putting one of them into your hand and the rest back in the action door in any order. So different ways of manipulating things. And here's a few other cards. What's mine is yours. You play that card immediately regardless of your turn, and you give 1 hero to another player that has less than 4 heroes. There's only 2 in the deck, and they're meant to introduce a little bit of randomness to the game to throw a wrench in someone's perfect plans. The Accused card, remember, it's one of the ones that you can only play 1 of those types of cards, anything that has the 1 per round, but you do a vote. So you would choose another player, and basically there's going to be a vote, and players are going to simultaneously vote by discarding as many cards as you want as votes towards the player that you want to win, and this is all done simultaneously, and this card counts as a vote as well. And then the side that has the more cards is the winner of the vote. And in this case, if you win the vote, that player loses 2 heroes of their choice. If you're the one playing Accused and the vote is tied, or you don't have enough votes to make it go through, then nothing happens. In other words, a vote can never backfire against the person who originally played the vote card. Draw just allows you to draw 2 action cards, or take the top card of the discard pile. And the cracks in the multiverse, you take another turn at the end of this turn, and that card can't be taken from the discard pile by any effect. And lastly, let's take a look at some of the hero cards you haven't seen yet. The Warlock. You could choose another player's hero and switch this card with that hero, and then you place your new hero face up. The basic chin. It's one of those reusable effects, which means you don't have to flip it over when you use it, but you still can only use that once per round. If you have 2 face-up basic chins, draw 1 action card. If you have 3, you draw 2 action cards. The diplomat. You select a card from each player's hand, including yourself, and you redistribute them and return 1 card to each player. So you're messing with everybody's hands. It's kind of fun. The guardian is you're preventing one of your heroes from being eliminated, and then this card can be played anytime. And that's pretty much how you play Cranky Chinchillas. Well, there you have Cranky Chinchillas, and as I showed in the overview, it's accessible, interactive, exciting to the end, has no player elimination, is highly replayable, and has cute artwork. If you'd like to see the most up-to-date artwork and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me in the description of this video. Now that's going to take you directly to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Cranky Chinchillas Inc. would love your support.